Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and I'm along with,
Tyler from On the Spot Sports.
and today we have a very special guest. We have Cooper Lukenda from St Olaf College, who is a goaltender for them. Cooper, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, no problem. We're doing really good. Just weird being in this quarantine time and not being able to hang out with anyone at all besides our family. So it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It gets a little boring sometimes, but you gotta spice things up, keep it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So, how is quarantine life going for you?
It's not going too bad. When this all first initially broke out, I was supposed to go on a spring break trip with a couple of my teammates, and that obviously got canceled. So I actually head down to Florida with my family for a couple days, and I was down there for maybe a week, and then I flew back, and I got home maybe 3 weeks ago, and I've been trying to keep myself entertained since then.
Yeah, for sure. Florida must have been warm. And must have been really nice out there.
Yeah. I made the mistake of leaving. My sister and my mom are still down there. They're the smart ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it cold by you right now?
Yeah, it actually snowed this morning, if you can believe it
Oh.
still. But yeah, it's a little cold.
Yeah, that's it snowed by us last week, I believe. So that was interesting. It's like middle of April and you're still getting snow.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Up here, I kind of expected. Like 2 years ago, I just got a notification from my Snapchat 2 years ago. I was snowmobiling on today, which is
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hope you and your family are staying safe and staying healthy during this time. And so you're from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in Canada. So what made you get into hockey, and how old were you when you first started playing?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I was kind of, born into hockey. My dad played hockey. My dad was a goalie. He played at the University of Notre Dame. And my brother, I have an older brother. He's 5 years older than me. And he was playing hockey. So I think the day I was released from the hospital, I was pretty much brought to the rink and watching his games. Um, Getting into it, like I said, my dad was a goalie. So I kind of just followed his path. But yeah, I've been doing it since I was born.
Yeah, so that's awesome that you're like pretty much like born right into it. Must have been a lot of fun going to games when you were younger.
Yeah, for sure.
So what made you want to play goal besides for like your dad being a goalie?
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I think I just wasn't very good at forward. I think I went a couple of years without scoring a goal, and I said, "Screw this! Like, let's switch to goalie."
Yeah, that's funny. So you were a forward before you played goalie?
I kind of did both. I think growing up, I would switch back. Like how you rotate in youth hockey. I did that whole thing, and then I think when I was like in squirts and stuff, I would play both. And then as soon as they told me I had to pick one, I chose goalie.
I was a forward all the way through high school, and I just decided to choose goalie like 5 years ago now.
That's crazy.
Interest. I don't know why, but just love it. Just love getting shots put puck shot at you.
Yeah, I know, crazy. Hey, I
Yeah.
think I'm one of the weird goalies. Like I don't necessarily enjoy getting hit with pucks. I think I've had a few goalie partners in the past that just love getting hit with pucks, and I just that part of the game I don't love. I love not letting people score, but getting hit with pucks, I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to that.
Yeah, I do feel that sometimes the same thing for me, but most of the time I like taking shots though.
Yeah.
So you played midget triple A and double A for the Shattuck St. Mary's. So what was that experience like playing in midgets for such a skilled team?
Yeah, it was a fun experience. Like I moved to Wisconsin when I was like probably like 12, and I played like just midget like or just like youth like double A hockey in Wisconsin, and taking that step to Shattuck was like a big jump. And obviously, I went from being like a pretty big fish in a small pond in Wisconsin to being a really really small fish in a big pond when I went to Shattuck, and it was an eye opening experience to see like how many talented players there really were. Like I was showing up. I was 14. I had never talked to a school in my life. I didn't really expect anything, and I was playing with guys in the first week of tryout camp that were like committed to Boston College since they were 12 years old, and I was just like, what am I doing here? But after that, you adjust, and it's a really fun time, especially you come to appreciate like how special a place it is. So it was a lot of fun.
Did
Yeah.
you expect it to be the same experience for Wisconsin and Canada, or were you expecting a little different?
It was a big difference. I was kind of, I kind of like was upset when we moved. I kind of thought like, oh shoot, like, it's gonna be a lot harder for hockey, a lot harder for making friends and stuff like that. And I actually was pleasantly surprised. Like Wisconsin hockey, especially youth hockey, is actually pretty good. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so your numbers were really good during your 3 years in St. Mary's. So what was going right for you during those seasons, and what was the biggest thing you learned from playing over in Wisconsin?
Yeah. So at Shattuck, I think I can credit a lot of my defense in front of me. We had a lot of good players on my teams that I played with, but we just had a lot of confidence going into games. You can win pretty much every game you're playing. There wasn't really too many teams that you like went into the game thinking, oh man, we get beat here. And on top of that, I had some really good coaching. I had one of my favorite goalie coaches ever at Shattuck. His name was Des Christopher, and he just instilled a lot of confidence into us. Making simple stuff simple and making the hard stuff, stuff we can handle. So it was a lot of fun. The biggest thing that I could take away, is just like taking it day by day. There's a lot of times that I just, get really frustrated because things aren't improving or you get stagnant, but you just kind of got to take it day by day and improve a little bit each day. And eventually, you'll get a lot better.
Yeah, so would you say that your mental game wasn't as strong at the beginning compared to where it is now?
Oh man. Yeah. My mental game's taken huge strides in the past, 3, 4, 5 years. I struggle a lot with that. That's probably my like biggest weakness in my game for sure. I've seen a few sports psychologists for that stuff, and I really love that, and I really appreciate the work that those guys do because without them, man, I'd be lost for sure.
Yeah, so how do you stay positive during like after you get like a goal scored on you or like things aren't going well for you?
Yeah, you got to have something like Holtby like throws the water up in the air, like a little saying on your blocker or something, just to like keep yourself in the moment. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just staying in the moment because if you think about like the past or if you're ever comparing or something, you're obviously just thinking about the past. There's no need to compare. Just like get ready for the next one kind of thing.
Yeah, so after you played midgets, you went on to you committed to Lake Superior State University. What was that experience like playing over at Lake Superior State?
Yeah, it was a really interesting opportunity. Coming out of Shattuck, they had a goalie leave there a year earlier than they thought he was going to, so they actually needed a goalie quicker than I assumed I was going to be going there, and they asked me to come in early, and so I took the chance and did it, and it was a really interesting experience. Again, a big eye-opening experience. I was a young 17-year-old kid graduating, and I was going to play with guys that were 25, 26 years old, and it just was. A little bit rushed, I would say. I think I've explained this a few times probably, but it was a little rushed. But it was a fun experience overall, seeing guys that had put the work in and got to where they were. As a 17-year-old kid, it was really fun to look up to those guys for sure.
How was your mindset going into that compared to like the previous couple years you said in your other league before that?
Yeah, there was a huge shift in my mindset. This was like going into my freshman year. I was set to just like work my ass off and sorry, I don't know if I can swear, just work my butt off and just try to do everything I can to get that ice time. But things don't always work out as planned, so stuff happens. I obviously got injured. I think I told you guys before, but you know I just wanted to go do everything I could because I knew that year going in there, I wasn't expected to go in there that year even in the first place, and I definitely wasn't expected to go in and play. And we had a really good two goalies ahead of me, so it was just an interesting, different mindset, planning for the future, not just for that year ahead.
Yeah, so was that injury the hip injury that you said during the takeover?
It was knee. I tore my MCL. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
how was that like recovery process and all that?
Yeah, it was a weird situation actually. So me and one of my teammates, we tore our MCLs. I tore mine on the Wednesday, and we drove down to Michigan to play them that weekend. And everyone traveled, so I still just traveled on the bus and sat in the stands. And one of my defensemen in that game on the Saturday, tore his MCL also. Same thing, same exact thing happened. And we're like, oh, shoot, like, what are we going to do? So we went to the doctors, all our doctor visits and all our rehab together. And the first time we went, they told him his was a 3rd-degree tear and mine was just a 1-degree. And to come back in 4 weeks, do our rehab with our athletic trainer and see how they heal. And if his didn't get any better, he would have to get surgery. So we go back in a month, and they accidentally switched our MRIs. And so his was actually getting a lot better, and his was just a grade 1 tear, and mine was the grade 3. And mine hadn't been getting better, but the doctor saw some progress. So he said, we'll just hold off on the surgery for now and see how this goes. And I was really fortunate. I didn't end up needing surgery, but it was a long recovery process. Like I want to say, I know it's kind of a blur, but I want to say like 5-6 months. It took a long time. Yeah.
How was it not playing hockey for that long? Like, what did you do to recover and train like after that injury?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I was lucky. Lake Superior State's like in my hometown, basically, just across the river. I'm from the Ontario side, and it's in the Michigan side. And so I was lucky. I had a lot of family support and friends around at that time. But I had a tough year. I got mono that year too, in the middle of that, and so I was just like recovering from everything. I think I took a good like couple months off just of doing nothing because I was burnt out. I was freshman in university. I was playing on a Division I hockey team, tore my MCL, and then like a month or 2 into my rehab, I get mono, and I was just wiped out. So I was just like, hey, like I need a break for a bit. Took a good mental break and came back. Just rehab the best I could from there.
Would you say that collection of the MCL and mono, was that your biggest obstacle that you've overcame, not just maybe in hockey, but maybe throughout your life?
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one for sure. I mean, it was a mental spiral at that point. I think that's the biggest time when I started, seeing like a sports psychologist. It just like takes such a toll on you when you think it's going to go one way and, life just has other plans and it goes a completely opposite direction. I felt like maybe in that time, like maybe I was trying to force things too much. So I kind of just took a step back and was like, hey, let's just let life come to me instead.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to have where you just say, just let everything come to me and just we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
But
and it's hard to do too. Like sometimes you want things to happen, but you got to let sometimes things happen instead.
yeah, exactly. So was that like your biggest time that like you had to like focus on like your mindset since like you were frustrated and everything? Like what was that mindset like going into that injury?
Yeah, that was a big one. I was very frustrated, but I also kind of was like a little ignorant at that time. I think I was like a little like, oh, I'm awesome. I'm 17. I'm playing at a Division I university kind of attitude that I was like, oh, this is okay. Like it's not the end of the world, which I think was helpful for me. I was a little maybe like the wrong attitude, but I think at the time it was kind of helpful. I think the other biggest time was when I left Lake State. I hadn't played a game. And so I was trying to, go to a junior team and, well, I'd played a couple exhibitions, but no real games, So I was trying to go to a junior team and prove myself. And I think I lost my first like 3 games in a row. And I was just like, man, like maybe I'm not right for this. Maybe this was a bad decision. And that was probably the biggest one.
Yeah, so like you said, you went from Lake Superior State to play juniors for the Kempville 73s in the Central Canada Hockey League. How'd that season go? Besides like the first like couple games that you said you lost.
Yeah, I don't want to, say too many negative things, but it was a little bit of a rough patch. It was, I went into a team that I knew was not doing so well, and I was told it was because of their goaltending and they needed some help. And I got there, and it was maybe not all on the goalie before me that was there, but it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I think I learned that like you can't just show up and expect things to happen. I definitely learned that like you need to work for things. I think my first like 10 games there maybe were a big learning process, big learning curve, and then by the end, like my last 5 to 10 games, I think we were, all of a sudden something clicked, and I was playing well, the team was playing well, we were winning games, and it became a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, so was it hard getting used to like that first like few games that since you didn't play the year before?
Oh yeah, it was really tough. Especially you have high expectations for yourself, but other people have high expectations for you coming from a Division 1 school like that. And so if you're not playing well, hearing that from the other team or the other guys, it's just kind of that was the big adjustment for sure.
Yeah, so then going into that next year after Kentville, you went to play in the Knoll for the Johnstown Tomahawks, and you put up some really good numbers. You went 15-4-2, I believe. What was it like putting up a season like that, especially after the year before in Kentville and then the year before in Lake Superior State?
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a breakout season for me for sure. I loved every second of it. I got really lucky. A guy that coached in the Sioux before that, the season before that, was going out to Johnstown to coach, and he knew who I was, and he asked me to come out and play there, and it was you know an absolute blast. Our team was really good. We had good organization. I had a really good goalie partner. His name's Carter McPhail. He plays at Ferris State now. And it was just a really good time. Our team, I mean, I think we lost one home game the entire season. It was a blast. So it was a good season for me, but I had a good team in front of me, so I can't take too much of that credit for sure.
Yeah, so what was the biggest difference going from the CCHL to playing in the Knoll?
Yeah, it was probably a couple things. There was the organizations I went from were kind of like a big jump. In Kempville, it was a good organization, but it was played at a community rink, and not many fans. It's a really small town, so it wasn't like you're getting a big crowd or anything. And then I went to Johnstown. It's not a huge city by any means, but they really are passionate about their hockey there, and they really really love the Tomahawks. They had a pro team before the Tomahawks, and we played in the rink that they filmed Slapshot in, and so the team really had a lot of pride around the Tomahawks, and they got to Hockeyville maybe in 2015, so they got to revamp the rink, and so it was just like an unbelievable rink, an unbelievable fan base, and we probably averaged like I don't know 2,000 fans a night, and in playoffs we were packing the place, and we were just like, I don't know, we were treated like pros. It was, you show up to the rink every day and like you have business to take care of and they know you have business to take care of. And as long as you're taking care of it, like that was it. And it was a good time.
Yeah, what did that pride mean to you, like personally, from like the team aspect and then the fans aspect? Like what did that all like personally mean to you?
Yeah, it was more, you realize it was more than just yourself. It was more than just like you playing hockey to trying to go to wherever you want to play. It was like you going to, the Denny's after the game and people coming up to you and saying like, hey, good game. Hey, good game. Hey, like my son really loves watching you play. Like it was realizing to me that there's like a lot more good to bring out of hockey than just playing hockey. And you mattered a lot more in that city than you thought you mattered. Like people didn't maybe understand like why you were leaving the next year because you're an AJ, you can't play the next year. But they knew that like when you put on that jersey, you meant so much to their like little kid that you like represented something bigger than just a hockey team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Seems unreal that like fans just come up to you and just be like, good game, stuff like that.
Couldn't get away with anything in that town though, but it was a blast.
Yeah, for sure. And so what was it like playing in the arena that Slapshot was filmed in?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was like a historical experience for sure. We had a couple like the Hanson Bros would come to a couple games here and there. We had like some, I don't know, a couple like meet and greets with them and stuff like that. It was interesting for sure. It was a culture shock, but it was fun.
How were the Hanson brothers?
They're interesting. They're still carrying around the glasses and everything. They're hilarious.
That's awesome. So what was your like your biggest takeaway from that season, from like everything that you've faced going into Johnstown?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think like in Johnstown, like the friendships I built with not only just like my teammates, but like the people in the city or my billet family, it was second to none. You have in junior hockey, they say you could have the best experience or the worst experience in your life. And I had absolutely the best experience of my life in Johnstown. So it just like it was second to none.
Yeah, that's awesome. That you met a lot of great people there. The fans were great. Like everything surrounding the organization was great. So, what was something that you worked on during the season, or even during the off season, the year before, that helped you contribute to the success with the Tomahawks?
Yeah, the biggest thing I've been working on for the past 2 years, actually, me and my goalie coach back home, and then my goalie coach in Johnstown, we've been working on foot speed and just getting ahead of the play because, like, I don't have the fastest feet in the world. I'm kind of got slow boots, but if you can get ahead of the play and be patient on your edges, it's so helpful. So I've just been trying to really up my foot speed, really up my footwork, so I can be ahead of plays and stay on my edges and not always like I have a really good, or I feel like I have a really good butterfly, and I'm really comfortable in my butterfly. So, not having to use that all the time or not feeling like I have to use that all the time is like something that I want to work on and have been working on for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what are some of the drills that you did to increase that foot speed?
Yeah, off the ice, it's a lot of ladder drills, a lot of agility, speed, foot quickness. And then on the ice, it's a lot of like doing a drill first, like slow and controlled, and then picking it up and going 110% speed. It's a lot of like simple drills, like maybe just like C cutting out to a puck and T pushing once right, once left, slow and controlled like 5 times, and then just going like all out as fast as you can a couple times, just so one, dial it in, and then two, you can pick up your foot speed. And if you mess up, it's going to happen in the game, so you got to get used to it.
Yeah, do you do any of that like 15-second drills where it increases your foot speed by a lot?
I haven't. I'll have to look that up. Can you explain it to me, or it's a little too difficult?
Um, I've tried, but
Yeah,
it's
doesn't work.
difficult. But
That's okay.
'cause,
I'll
like,
look it up after this.
yeah, I also have like slower foot speed, so like I need to increase that.
Yeah,
So I'm just doing whatever I can to increase that foot speed.
yeah. It's a big thing nowadays, especially with how fast guys are getting today.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Crazy.
So you guys also made the playoffs that year in Johnstown. So what was it like playing in the playoffs with such a good junior team?
Yeah, it was awesome. Awesome atmosphere. Like crazy. Every game was packed, sold out. We made it interesting on ourselves. I think we lost one, like I said, one home game all year, maybe. I don't even know if we did. When we got to playoffs, we went to like 5 games every round. So the playoffs only go to 5 games. They're not best of 7; they're best of 5. And so both rounds at the beginning, we went best of 5, just to make it interesting on ourselves. And one of them, we were playing a team that was 10 hours away, so it's just an awesome bus ride back and forth. But after that, in the null, after the first 2 rounds, you go, if you make it past the first 2 rounds in your division, you win your division. So we won our division, and you get flown out to Minnesota where they have the Robertson Cup, and it's 4 teams. You play a best of 3 first, and then the championship's 1 game. And like I said, my goalie partner was really good in Johnstown, so we got to the Robertson Cup, and we played Fairbanks in our best of 3. And so he was slated to play those games. I wasn't expecting to play by any means because he had put up a pretty good run in the playoffs. And our first game, we went down a couple goals quick, and maybe like 2 or 3 goals, and it was really nerve-wracking. Everyone was like pretty like frustrated. Bench was trying to stay calm, but we came back. We won like 7-3. Our offense just like came alive and just blew them away. Second game, same thing happens. We went down 2 goals or 3 goals really quick again, and we're just like, oh shoot, here we go again. So we come back this game, but we end up losing, I think 5-4 maybe. And so the third game we're going in, we're like, okay, well, our offense is firing. Like, we'll be good. We'll be ready to go. We went down 4-0 in the first period right away again. It was crazy. They just really had a jump on us right from the start. And so after that happened in the first period, my coach put me in. And I was like, oh, man, like I haven't played in 2 weeks. Like, here we go. Like, of course, big moment. What can you do? But I played really well. I was really nervous at first. They have this big scoreboard, or not even scoreboard, projector right behind you. If like in your net on the wall, that's super bright. So I'm hopping in, I like go on the ice. My first time touching the ice in Minnesota, and just this big screen of my face just comes up on, and I'm just like, oh crap, here we go. But no, I ended up playing really well, and we came back. It was like a really good game. We were down 4, I think I said. We went 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, and we're tied 4-4. And with like maybe 3 minutes left, they got a 5-on-3 power play, and they ended up scoring on the 5-on-3, and that was the end of our playoff run. But it was a cool experience for sure. It was really cool to get to go to the Robertson Cup. Really cool to see like all our support from the fans and our organization. And then to go down like that sucks and it hurts, but it happens.
Yeah, it sucks being tied and then you go down 5-4 with 3 minutes left. I've had that happen plenty of times to me. It doesn't feel good.
No, it's not the greatest feeling. You felt like you let the team down, but did the best you could at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were talking about how you guys were down the first 2 games and then came back, and then the last game you guys were down again, but you came back and you lost. Did you guys learn anything about yourselves as a team by coming back and being able to pull off the comeback? And then with the last game, obviously you were close, but overall, what did you guys learn from yourselves, like as a team, like mental standpoint, to be able to come back and even it out?
I think for sure in the first game we learned we could do it. We learned like nothing's going to hold us down, nothing's going to stop us. Like we have the ability to come back. But I think that the biggest thing we learned in the last game was like, man, you can't do it 3 times in a row, right? Like you do it once, that's really good. Like you shouldn't even do it once. And so just to not put ourselves in that position would have been the best place to be in the first place. But the fact that we did it once was awesome. If we could have done it twice, it would have been really good. But stuff happens.
Yeah, so would you say that was one of the best thing that you cherished from your junior careers, going to the playoffs and playing the Robertson Cup?
Yeah, that was second to none. That was awesome. It was a really cool experience. One of my really good buddies from Sault Ste. Marie growing up was actually on Aberdeen that year too, and they ended up winning it. So it was really cool. We're staying in the same hotel, down the hallway from each other. We hadn't seen each other in 2 years maybe, and it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. So after that season with the Tomahawks, you committed to St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, and to complete your second season of eligibility for college hockey. So I'm sure you got lots of offers from different schools, but why did you choose St. Olaf?
Yeah, it was pretty simple for me. I wanted to go Division I, obviously. That's like everyone's goal, right? And I'd been there and I wanted to get back. That was my goal from the start. But in reality, my eligibility situation was kind of messed up, and I didn't play particularly outstanding that year. So my eligibility situation to break down, I guess I would have had to sit out 1 year, and then I only would have had 1 year of eligibility left to play. And so at that point, you got to be the best goalie in the world to have a team take a chance on you for 1 year. And so I wanted to play. I wanted to play 3 years. That's what I got at the Division III level because there's no transfer rule there. So I was really excited to find a D3 school that was going to be my home. And I had St. Olaf in the back of my head for a while because my brother played there actually, and he loved it. And they had a coach, Mike Eves at the time, that had played pro, coached at Wisconsin, coached the U.S. team. He knew what it takes, and he would always talk to me and say, like, I can get you a pro offer if playing hockey is something you want to do after college. And I was, I had that in my back pocket, but I didn't want to just follow my brother's footsteps and say, like, yeah, I have this, I'll just take it, whatever. So I went through the season and I talked to like a few D3 schools here and there, but my heart was just set on St. Olaf from the start. I think I ended up going on a visit, and I fell in love again for the second time after falling in love the first time my brother was there. And I'm really glad I made the decision. It was the best decision I've made in a while. So
yeah. So how is D3 college hockey compared to D1? I've heard that it's pretty much almost the same as a good D1 program.
Yeah, it's especially for us at St. Olaf. We just built a brand new rink that was finished like 2 years ago now, like in 2018. It was just finished, and we have brand new weight rooms and like a brand new like facility. It's it's unbelievable. The facilities are second to none at St Olaf, but it's not every school is not like that. I think the biggest difference between D1 and D3 is that like the top D1 or top D3 schools facilities or players or whatever it may be are like mid to low D3 schools, like facilities or players or whatever. And then the top D1 schools like the North Dakotas or all the Big Ten schools are obviously going to be miles ahead. So, from a facility standpoint, our school is as good as any, except for, the top 1% of the D1 schools. From a player standpoint, there's a lot of good players in D3 hockey, and there's a lot of reasons why those guys go D3. Some of them they just weren't good enough for Division I hockey. It happens. Others are, they wanted more playing time, or they were at a Division I school like me and it didn't work out and they left, or, situations like that. There's definitely a lot better players at the Division I level on their top two lines. But from there, the top two lines at a really good D3 school could for sure play on, some Division I schools. So it's pretty interesting. I'm not saying by any means we would compete with Division I schools. We would definitely get beat pretty bad. Those guys are some pretty good players, but there's definitely really good players at the D3 level also.
Yeah, so you went 2-6-2 in 12 games this season with St Olaf. So what was it like getting back to playing college hockey, and how do you think your season went overall?
Yeah, it was an adjustment for sure. We had a really young team this year for sure, and we were going through a transition period. As I said, the coach before was Mike Eves, and he actually signed an AHL deal the year, like as I was coming in. He signed it in like the middle of the summer, so we didn't have a coach going into the beginning of the school year, and we actually didn't sign a coach till we were all on campus in like September. And it was a really weird time. We had guys that had been there for 4 years that had played only maybe 5 games, or we had guys that were coming in expecting to play every single game. And it was just a weird, mix of situations. And we had to learn a lot. I think our young guys learned a ton, and our seniors really helped us out with that. But it was a process for sure. We would always compete with the top teams in our division. We would lose one or two, like by 1 or 2 goals, but then we'd play the teams that we should beat, and we would just, fall apart in the third period and just not have that, experience that we needed to win games. I would say, like, the other thing is like I said, we learned a ton. I think we went 1-12 in our first, like, 13 games, and we play a 26-game season. You're not going to have a good record if you start that poorly. But after that, after January, I think we won like 5 games, which is pretty good for considering the start. And we just kept growing. If our season was 50 games long, I think we would have doubled our wins record or tripled our wins record. We were getting better every day. So going into next year, we're really excited. We have a coach now that's we think is going to be stable for us, and we have players that are going to be really good. So it should be good going into next year.
Yeah, so during like the end of the season, all this quarantine stuff hit. Did it have any effect on like your season or anything?
Fortunately not. It was only the teams in Division III level that were in the NCAA tournament at that point, and we didn't make playoffs, unfortunately, so we were out a couple weeks before that. My golf season actually was just about to start up. We were 2 weeks into like training camp or whatever for golf, and we had our first tournament coming in a month and a half, and it got canceled, but it's okay.
Yeah, so during the takeover, I learned that you also played golf. So what made you get into golf? And you're doing it at you're doing it at St Olaf, but what's the experience like from playing golf in college?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly don't really know what got me into golf. I kind of just feel like I've been playing it since I was born, just for kind of fun, just messing around. I kind of started taking it a little more serious probably when I moved to Wisconsin. Um, at the college level, it's awesome. It's a blast. I couldn't believe how much fun it is, and I have a really good coach that's really aware that I play hockey also, and that my heart's with hockey. So if I need like time, or if I can't make a practice because some conflict, he's really good about it, which makes it really easy for me in that transition. But otherwise, like, I've played golf for fun my whole life, and these guys that come to college, these guys have been playing golf for like I play hockey for serious. They come and they practice for 2-3 hours a day, and that's the biggest adjustment for sure. It's been like going to practice and realizing, hey, these guys put in serious work. So I have a lot of catching up to do in that department, but once I start, it'll be good.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think you said you were playing golf as a little kid as well. And I know you also said in the beginning of the episode that your dad played and your older brother played, and that's kind of how you got into it. But if it wasn't hockey, do you think there would be another sport that you would possibly want to get into from a young age?
Yeah, it would be golf for sure. But if it wasn't golf or hockey, I really love like water sports like skiing and stuff like that. So if it wasn't like one of those two, I'd for sure get like a wake boat or something and be maybe a surfer guy or something of that sort.
Have you ever done that? Got a boat and
Yeah,
did that?
a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of nice lakes up here, and I live on Lake Superior, so it's a fun time up here in the summers for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, what's your favorite golf course that you've ever golfed at?
There was a course not too far from me when we lived in Wisconsin called Erin Hills. The U.S. Open was there a couple years ago, and it's my favorite course that I've ever played by far. It's an absolute blast.
Would you consider yourself a good golfer? Was your
Uh,
What's your best score?
I'm very, very okay. I can hang up there, but I'm not consistent enough, I don't think, to call myself a good golfer.
Yeah,
That's
I feel that. I also golf for fun, and
yeah,
I say on the below average part.
yeah, yeah.
So, going back to hockey for a little bit, who would you say is your favorite goalie of all time? Who do you look up to as a goalie?
It's a difficult question for me. I think like when I was a kid, I idolized the guys from the Sioux like Marty Turco. I just looked up to him a ton. But I always had a Mika Kiprusoff poster in the back of my room, hanging up behind my bed. But as I got older and watched, his clips and stuff, that's not really how I play by any means. I was a big fan of him and Marc-Andre Fleury growing up as a kid, but I think it was just because it was interesting. Nowadays, I look up to Carey Price as like the holy grail. He is the absolute best goalie I think I've ever watched, and I just love watching him play, and I try to emulate that as much as I can for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone we have interviewed has said Carey Price is as the goalie
Yeah,
that they look up to, and
yeah.
he is
I
a very good goalie.
I absolutely idolize him like an unbelievable amount for sure.
Yeah, so this meeting's about to end in like under a minute, I guess. So is there any closing words, Tyler, that you have?
No, I mean, I just think, again, hearing different people come from different backgrounds is really, really cool. So all the stuff you said, it's really cool. And all the different jumps, too. Like you said, you went from Canada to Wisconsin, then back to Canada in all a bunch of different environments. So I thought it was really cool hearing, like, your perspective on, like, your different, like I said, backgrounds and experiences with the different teams you've been on through your career.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. I love hearing other guys' stories too. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for coming on, Cooper. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, see ya.
See ya.